Hi guys, Steve Blankard here. Hey, I wanted to show you how to install one of Mike Hill's new electronic voltage regulators. Uh, if you've been on the VFF and maybe some of the Facebook groups, you've seen this mentioned. Mike Hill took over the design of Tom Wessenberg's electronic voltage regulator. Tom sadly passed away a few years ago, and Mike has taken it to the next level and made some updates to it and really made a really nice professional electronic voltage regulator, or EVR, for the Model A generators. So I have installed at least a half a dozen of these so far, including in my own Model A, and they work great. They're really, really nice. Now, Mike provides some really good and detailed instructions on how to install them, but I know sometimes it's better to see somebody do it, see how it's done, so I thought I would put this together. I've already got a generator in pieces here. It's not 100% complete, but I wanted to just have some clean parts to work with to show you how you do this. So when you take your generator apart, let's see, got a couple of bolts here. Your generator's all complete. You've got two long bolts that go through it, so you're just going to go ahead and take the nuts off the end, pull the long bolts out, and then you're going to remove it from the pulley end, which is here, and it's going to come out with the armature. The whole thing's going to pull right out, and that's going to leave you with the brush plate, which is here on the end of the generator. Now this should be tight in the end of the generator. It should be kind of a snug fit. So what I do is I stick a wooden stick, a handle from a hammer in there carefully. Don't hit the brushes, but just lay it up against the brush plate, and then I can just tap on that with the hammer just to pop it out. Now when you take this out, there are two wires that are connected to the brush plate. And what we have here is the two wires that you're going to see are these two. One goes to the field, and when you look at the fields, everything I'm going to reference here is I'm going to say it goes to the left side field, and that's reference to the terminal post pointing straight up and down. So the field on the left has a wire coming off of it, and that's the one that normally goes to your adjustable or third brush. The other side of the field, which I don't have connected in this right now, is ground, and that just grounds somewhere in the case. So when you go to take this off, this is going to be on here. It's going to come out, and these wires are going to be connected. So you're going to and they're connected. This one connects to the adjustable brush, which is this one here. This is the one that you can slide back and forth, and it just goes right here where the carbon brush is. Now I don't have the brushes on this, so I'm taking them out just so I stay clean while I'm doing this. So you're going to take this wire off of the adjustable brush. The other wire, which is I can just call the power wire, this goes to the insulated brush holder, and that one's going to be down here. And again, you're just going to loosen the screw and take that off. So those are the two wires that are going to come off, so you can completely remove the brush plate. So this is a 30-31 type brush plate that uses a bushing in the end. The earlier 29 to 30 style uses a ball bearing in the end, and it's a slightly different. We'll talk about that in a few minutes about installing the EVR. But that's how you get it apart, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to take anything else apart. You just want to have these two leads available to you. So let's talk about the EVR for a minute here. So this is the EVR. It's going to mount on the brush plate, and it replaces the third brush assembly. It mounts with a single screw, and then the other end hooks onto one of the long bolts that goes through it. And there's a little notch in the end, and I don't know how you can see this. There's a little notch in the circuit board here, and this screw, actually, the screw bolt just locks right into that notch, and that's how it's supported at that end. Now, the way Mike sends this, there's a single screw here, and this is your mounting screw, and underneath that is a spacer. Now, you have to remove this spacer, so what we do is just a Phillips screw, like a properly fitting Phillips screwdriver, and remove that screw. Now, Mike puts a tiny dab of solder in the threads here, just so this screw will thread into and lock it down to hold that spacer in place for shipping. It'll feel like the circuit board is threaded, but it's not. It's just that little dab of solder. So what I do is I take the screw out, got the little spacer out here, which you probably can't see very well. And what I do is I'll go ahead and put the screw back in without the spacer, or I could have done this with the spacer already in there. And I'm just going to turn this screw just to kind of clear that solder out. So this, while it feels like it's threaded, it's just the solder holding it. So I'm going to turn it a few times just to clear that solder to make sure this turns freely very nicely. Okay, so that's all I need to do. So I'm going to take the screw back out. It still feels like it kind of threads a little bit, but it's just that solder in there. All right, so the screw is out. Now let's keep that little spacer there. Don't need that. Okay. So once you've got this, so what we've got here now, we've got the brush plate. So what you need to do is we need to remove the third or adjustable brush holder entirely. The EVR replaces the third brush. It turns this generator into a two-brush generator, like later cars used starting in '39 when Ford came out with a two-brush generator. It's essentially what we're doing. We're changing this into a two-brush generator. So to remove the adjustable brush holder on a Model A, it's pretty simple. There are two screws with spring fingers underneath them that hold the ring that the third adjustable brush is mounted to. There's a screw right here and a screw right here, and they just hold down these little spring fingers, and that ring can rotate under the spring tension. So I'm going to remove the spring fingers. All right, there's one. And the one on this side, this is the ground brush. Now it also has a ground strap on that same screw that holds the finger. So we do need to return that ground strap that's necessary for grounding that brush. Okay, so there. So that's the little spring fingers. What do they look like? So I've got both those out. Now the adjustable brush holder just lifts right off. There we go, that's the adjustable brush holder. Now we've got a two-brush plate here. So I think what I'm going to do is, right now while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put this ground strap back on the plate so I don't forget it. A little tight in here. Come on, you. It's right underneath the brush holder, so it's kind of a little hard to get at sometimes. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll just hold off for that right now. For demonstration purposes, just make sure you put that back in, but I don't want to get sidetracked messing with that. Okay, so to mount the EVR, this is going to come right up here, and it's going to mount in this hole here. And it fits in here like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the little spacer that came on that screw, and that goes underneath on the bottom side of the circuit board, and that spaces the EVR off the plate a little bit. So I'm going to line that up, get this screw started here. Okay, change my screwdriver a bit here again. All right, so I'm going to get this started here. What? Nope, nope. started, then get the EVR in place. I'm going to tighten it down. Now, when I put this on for good, I always use a drop of Loctite on that screw, because you don't want this thing coming loose in the generator from vibration. So a little drop of Loctite is good. And then you want to move, you can, with the screw pretty tight, you can still move the EVR a little bit, and you want to line it up with the hole that the bolt goes through. Now what I typically do is I'm just going to take the bolt, and I'm going to slip it right through here. That way I can move the EVR circuit board around till I get the EVR in position, so the screw goes through it, and if you can see that, it fits right into the notch in the circuit board. So I want to make sure this is lined up properly before I tighten it down for good, which it is. Okay, so I'm going to snug up this screw a little bit. Okay, making sure that I'm still in position here. All right, so that's how the EVR mounts onto the brush plate. So now to connect it back up, got a couple things. There's two ways you can do this. I've done it both ways. You can either put the brush plate back in on the generator and then go in through the slots in the side of the generator and connect up the wires, or you can do it laying out on the bench like this and then put it all back in. So it's kind of, you know, up to you. What do you think works best? So I don't have all the brushes on this, but simply what we do is you're going to take the power wire. This is the one that goes to the terminal post in here, and this goes to the insulated brush holder. I just call it the power brush, and that's going to mount right on the back of it here, right here. Now also actually it mounts on this side with the brush in place. This red wire also goes on that same screw. So you have two wires that connect to the power brush brush holder. The main one going out, which is your output of the generator, and because the EVR takes a feed off of that power brush, it connects up on this terminal also. So both of these wires are going to connect to the output brush, the insulated brush holder here. And then your field wire, this is the one coming off the left-hand field, this attaches under this screw here. There's a little Phillips screw on the end of the plate, and just take that out. Let's see if it's on here. Sorry, my hands are in the way here a little bit, so you can't see. All right, so the field wire is attached right here on the aluminum plate on the EVR. So once you've got these wires connected, and I didn't connect these, I didn't have a screw, I didn't have a brush here, so I can't connect it. But once you get these two connected, you're just going to put it all back together again. That's the only connections to it. It's very simple. Now I will say the circuit board is designed for the 3031 type generator. There's a slight difference on the 2930 generators. Those are the ones that use the ball bearings in the end instead of a bushing. And the difference I found is the position of the through bolt hole relative to the mounting screw hole. It's slightly different. They're just a little closer together. So to install one in the 2930 generator, the little notch in the circuit board just needs to be deepened. And what I do is use a 1/4 inch fine file, and I just file that notch deeper down about to there's a little white double white line on the circuit board, and I file it down just about to that double white line, and that will allow me to get the screw through it. And then I may make sure that if it's not deep enough, it'll be tilted up. You won't be able to get it straight in. So just file it till you can just get the the through bolt going straight through, and so the circuit board will hook on it, and that's it. So that's the difference on the 2930 generator installation. So it works really well. Remember that this still uses the cutout, so if you're, you have to have a properly working cutout. Now, one thing to note, if you're using an electronic diode type cutout, there's a little thing you need to do on the EVR. Hopefully you can see this. There's a little yellow wire right here. If you're going to use a diode cutout, you need to snip that wire, and just snip it and separate them just so they don't touch each other. And that just puts a little more voltage going to the diode, because the diode has to overcome, needs a little more voltage to overcome for output. So that's the way Mike's designed that, and it works well. I have installed these with diode cutouts, and just snipping that little yellow wire is all it takes. So something to keep in mind. So once you get it all done, put it all back together again, and you're ready to go. It's very effective. I said I've been running one in my Model A now for 3 or 4 months, and it works great. When I first start the truck up, I'll see maybe a 10 amp charge because the battery's drawing down just from cranking, and then after a couple of minutes I'll see that charge rate just go back up to just a little slight positive charge, just a little bit over 0, and it stays there continuously. If I turn the lights on, get a little more current comes out of the generator. Now I have LED lights, which I highly recommend, both headlights and taillights, because they draw very little current. But these they work great, and you don't have to worry about overcharging your battery, boiling it out, because a normal Model A generator puts out 8.5 volts or more continuously, and anything more than about 7.2, 7.3 volts is overcharging the battery, and that causes the electrolyte to boil out. And that's one reason why Ford in their owner's manual literature says check your battery electrolyte level every couple of weeks, because they knew it was boiling out the battery. So the EVR controls both current output and voltage. It maintains voltage up to 7.2 volts and no more. So it prevents that overcharging condition, as well as providing current on demand to meet the electrical system's needs. So it really is a nice upgrade. It's completely invisible once it's installed, and they work really well. So hey, I hope you found this helpful. It's a great upgrade. It's something I recommend. I've installed quite a few of them, and they've been working great. I think it's a good thing for your generator. So hope this was useful. If you got any questions, please reach out to Mike Hill. And for those of you who don't know, I've got a little wire here. You can see this hopefully, and that's got his contact information, his email on there. He makes these in small batches, but he makes them available. He's got them ready to go. So reach out to him if you're interested in them. I have no connection with them, but I just use them. I think it's a great product, and I wanted to share this. So hey, thanks for watching.